Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Nathan Boyd, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Vice Admiral Jonathan Mead. We warmly welcome the members of the Army Indigenous Development Program 54 Platoon, who are joining us this evening. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland who are watching the broadcast of the ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was a vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops at Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him in Poitiers, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance of the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those in the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who gave their lives for us in war and on operation for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths of floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Corporal George Norris. George Norris was born in Lake Cargelligo in July 1891, one of 16 children in the family of Samson and Eliza Norris. George received his education at the Murrum Provincial School and was working as a labourer at the outbreak of war in 1914. George Norris enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 8th of January 1916 and was assigned to the 36th Battalion. His brothers, 18-year-old Stanley and 21-year-old Percival, also enlisted for service but were assigned to different battalions. George embarked from Australia aboard troop ship Beltana on the 13th of May, bound for overseas service. He arrived in England in July 1916 and spent the next 4 months training in preparation for deployment to the front. In late November, the 36th Battalion proceeded to France, moving into frontline trenches in December with the onset of winter. The 36th Battalion had its first major battle at Messines in June 1917 and suffered heavy casualties. After Messines, Norris and his comrades took part in the battle at Passchendaele. Following operations at Passchendaele, Norris spent time alternating between service in the front line and periods of training and working parties behind the lines in Belgium. In 1918, the 36th Battalion moved south to the Somme region around Corbie and Villers-Bretonneux in an effort to thwart the German Spring Offensive. While assisting in the defence of Amiens, Norris's battalion took part in a counter-attack near the French village of Hangard Wood, where its lines were shelled heavily and many troops fell under machine gun fire. On the 12th of April, Norris proceeded to an advanced post with a Lewis gun and 2 other men to stop the enemy advancing as the French were pushing back towards the village. While manning their guns, Norris and his comrades were shot by enemy snipers and killed. Norris's comrade, Sergeant Laurie Barber, provided details of Norris's death to the Red Cross, writing, "He died instantly and was buried the same evening. Will you please convey to his mother my deepest sympathy and tell her that George died doing his duty as he was one of the bravest soldiers in the battalion." Corporal George Norris was buried at Hangard Communal Cemetery beneath the words of his bereft and recently widowed mother, "May God rest his soul." He was 26 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Corporal George Norris, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub of Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We particularly appreciate your visit despite the challenges posed by COVID and wish you all a very pleasant evening.